In this video, we will be setting up a site-to-site VPN tunnel between our FortiGate firewall and a remote site that has a Cisco router. This will allow us to connect the two LANs together with computers and servers to communicate with one another without needing to use any client VPN solution like IPsec or SSL VPN. So using site VPNs, it is very common and it is used by all branches of the business size world, like small networks, SMB, medium, to even large size networks, because it can utilize the existing internet connection that you have at a location that can securely build point-to-point connections with other locations. As a recap, here is our network diagram, and we will be building a VPN tunnel from our Fortinet firewall or FortiGate right here through our lab internet to this Cisco router that's connected on our internet cloud. So you will see all of the IP address details here, and you all see that this is a Cisco ISR 2801 router. So it is a Cisco iOS device. So we want our user network and our server network behind our FortiGate firewall to communicate with the LAN that is located here, and this is on the 172.19.101 network. So we want to basically allow those LANs to communicate, but that will only be possible once we establish that site VPN tunnel. So right now from our user computer, we are not able to reach any address on that LAN until, once again, the site VPN is configured, and we'll go ahead and do a continuous ping now. And you see that we're not getting any responses. So let's now go back to our firewall to begin our configuration of the site VPN tunnel. Okay, first things first, let's make sure that the VPN services is turned on. Okay, and here under basic features, that feature has been enabled. Let's build the VPN tunnel now, starting on our FortiGate unit. And to do that, we'll go to the VPN section here on the left. And under IPsec, we will go to tunnel templates. So the FortiGate has a great and simplified method for building a VPN tunnel easy between locations. And they do it by using templates, and these here are the default templates that are available. So for example, we can set up a client VPN profile for Apple or Android devices. We can set up client VPN for Windows or Mac systems, to even building a site-to-site VPN to another FortiGate or to a Cisco device. So let's check out the details of the site VPN Cisco template right here at the bottom. And this will show the VPN proposal details for phase 1 and phase 2 of the IPsec VPN tunnel. So phase 1 involves ISAKMP, which deals with managing the security keys between the two VPN peers. So it builds a bi-directional security association, or an SA channel, between the two VPN peers. In this case, we are Cisco router and our FortiGate unit. Now the ISAKMP policy will define the encryption and the hashing algorithm that will be used. There's also the authentication mode, which can be pre-shared keys or using certificates. Now in this template for phase 1, it is defining two proposals that can be used, and they're reflected right here and right over here. So these are the different proposals that can be used. So one uses triple DES encryption and SH1 hashing, and the other uses triple DES and MD5. Therefore, we will need to make sure that at least one of these proposals exists on our router when the time comes. There is the Diffie-Hellman group, or the DH group, which you see right up here. And this deals with establishing a shared secret key using public and private keys for this established ISAKMP tunnel for phase 1. So once again, we must have the same details configured on our Cisco router. Next, we'll get into phase 2 of the IPsec tunnel. And this phase will build two unidirectional IPsec security association channels, which is used for all data communication. So within this template, just like the ISAKMP policy, we will be using triple DES encryption and MD5 hashing. The PFS or the DH group that is used will be group number 5, very similar to the phase 1 proposal detail or the policy details here. But in this particular template, this is what we will use for building our VPN tunnel, and the information provided here will reflect the security components that must be configured on our Cisco router. So everything is very important. To create a VPN tunnel, let's go to the wizard option under IPsec, and we will fill out the following. We will first select and use the site-to-site Cisco template, which is right here. We will define a name for this new VPN profile. And let's go next, which is the authentication section. For the remote gateway, we will enter the WAN IP of our Cisco router based on our diagram, which will be established with our WAN facing interface, which is selected as WAN 1 for outgoing interface. That is important. For the authentication mode, we will use pre-shared key, which is the default, and we will enter a pre-shared key that must match what we'll be configuring on the Cisco router. Okay, that looks good. Let's go ahead and hide these characters and let's say next. Under policy and routing, we will define first the local interface of our FortiGate that devices on our LAN behind the remote sites will be able to communicate with, and that will be our LAN facing interface, the internal interface. Let's select that. And for the local subnets, we will define our user and server network that exists behind our firewall. And this is our user network. And this is our server network. Okay, and now for the remote subnets, this will be the LAN at the remote site. So if our user network wants to communicate with a computer on the 172.19.101 network, it will be routable across this VPN tunnel that we are configuring. So that is very important. And of course, the right mask, which is a class C for all of these networks. So we are finished here. So let's go ahead and create this VPN profile. And this will show a summary as it has done a couple of things for us automatically. It has created object groups for the local address and the remote address, listing the networks able to communicate over this VPN tunnel. It has also configured the necessary security policies for us. So going to the tunnel list, which is right up here under tunnels. Okay, this will show the profile that we created and the template that it is based on, which is once again, site-to-site Cisco. To view the details for how this profile was set up, we can edit this profile again if you want. Go to edit. And there you will see some of the matching details that we basically selected during the wizard process. Let's go to the policies page to see some of those created events for us. Okay, and there we see a new policy section. We see one for LAN to VPN 1, which will allow our user and server network to communicate with that remote LAN subnet. And there is a policy for the VPN 1 to LAN, which will allow our remote LAN behind the Cisco router, which is 172.19.101.0 network, to communicate with our user and server network. As I mentioned before, the wizard also created address objects. So let's go to addresses. Okay, and here you will see the local subnet and the remote subnet objects that were created for us, which is reflected right here. Remember, we selected the user network and the server network. So this is basically the template or the actual format of how it's constructed. And of course, the remote subnet. You'll also see the address groups that were also created, which is right here. So you see VPN 1 local and VPN 1 remote that contains those particular networks. Let's go back to the tunnel list page before we continue on with our configuration.